Beautiful, unadulterated chaos is where Rage 2's neon hue shines brightest, and just like Enemy Blood, there is plenty of it to go around. Yes, it is another post-apocalyptic open-world shooter, but Rage 2's dedication to inventive gunplay and superhuman abilities helps make this title stand out amongst an extremely oversaturated landscape. Set some 30 years after the original Rage, and starting off with many a literal bang, you're immediately thrust into the role of Walker, a fully voiced and fully realised male or female character who has been given the insurmountable task of saving humanity from the Authority, and their evil leader, General Cross. You play as one of the last remaining Rangers, a position conveyed as a symbol of virtue in an otherwise lawless world. Patrolling the wastelands as equal parts sheriff and executioner. While the plot prefers function over substance, with the majority of storytelling served up within the opening 20 minutes, Avalanche and id Software managed to weave in several memorable moments over the span of the 15-ish hours of mainline campaign. There are some subtle nods and references to the original Rage, but there are no barriers to entry. You can dive headfirst into the wastelands without having experienced any of the first game. Rage 2 plays like the love child of Quake and Borderlands, combining brutal in-your-face combat with a sense of charm and playfulness. Heads explode, bodies get ripped apart, while maintaining a beautiful flow to battles where you can chain abilities and weaponry together in seamless sequences of death-dealing majesty. The pairing of id Software and Avalanche is a dream relationship, delivering big action, big guns, and big doses of chaos. Shooting your way through the wastelands, you'll meet a diverse host of characters. 4 in particular are key cogs in the fight against the Authority. Your squad mate and childhood friend Lily, the current mayor of Wellsprings known as Lusum Hagar, former military hero and current barman, John Marshall, and last but certainly not least, Antonin Kavasa, the mutant child riding mad scientist with a kink for amputated limbs. Interactions with said characters are mainly handled over your comms unit, but there are several in-game exchanges at each member's hub location. These 4 main hubs are scattered across the wasteland and act as quest collection points, but also storefronts, allowing you to sell or purchase ammo, upgrades, and various junk items that are collected throughout the world. They are filled with NPCs and datapads, which are both there to help pad out the Rage 2 universe via small lines of dialogue or digital diary entries. Sadly, neither of which add much further depth to the story at all. Yes, the story is weaker than a pre-Super Serum Steve Rogers, but Rage 2's strength certainly lies within its combat. Just like Walker's Ranger suit, the weaponry is also upgradable, meaning they keep up with the ever-escalating toy box of destruction dealt out. While the gunplay is extremely satisfying on its own, when combined with the Ranger suit's upgradable powers, Rage 2 becomes an exhilarating joy as you toy with mutants, lawless punk bandits, and the military might of the Authority, catapulting them into the sky, turning them into mince with a push of your open palm, and dodging them at lightning speed. By finding arcs littered around the game world, Walker can obtain new abilities and weapons, further improving your chances of taking down General Cross in an epic final assault. This acts as the real motivator for exploring the open world. Having 11 unique abilities, your trusty boomerang-esque wing stick, plus 8 diverse firearms turns every potential enemy exchange into a YouTube highlights reel. Special mention must go to the combat shotgun, which was my ride or die for the majority of my game time. id know how to craft a satisfying shotgun, and this one with 2 fire modes is another glowing example. Also worth mentioning are the Grav Dart Launcher and Charged Pulse Cannon, 2 death dealers which quickly became regular companions and are both highly recommended in combat. It's interesting that Rage 2 further amplifies a problem that plagued id's 2016 version of Doom. When the action isn't front and center, the game struggles to maintain consistent levels of high enjoyment. With Doom, it was relatively short bursts of downtime, and it was excusable as you definitely needed time to catch your breath between bouts with Hellspawn. For Rage 2 though, the open world design poses a greater risk. If the combat is fantastic but the game is padded with other open world activities, they need to be fairly entertaining in their own way to cause the least amount of frustration for the player. A problem with Rage 2 is its open world is rather flat and unexciting to explore, beyond seeking out arcs and, well, blowing up mutants. Supposedly there's an ongoing historical conflict happening, but you certainly can't see much evidence of it. Everyone in this world is just there, rather than feeling like a living, breathing part of it. Rage 2 is all about big neon pink-laced explosions and facing wild and crazy mutants. It has a mantra that invites the ridiculous, and that is channeled best in its combat. But the Greater Wasteland, well, the world as a whole isn't overly fun to explore. It exists for the sake of the vehicles, of which there are 15 available, and 90% of them are just plain old meh. I spent the majority of my time cruising around in the starter level Phoenix. It's the only upgradable vehicle in the game, allowing you to increase your armor while also adding more hardcore weapons to your vehicle's chassis, turning the Phoenix into something you'd see in Twisted Metal. Later in the game, I found myself switching to the Icarus, a rideable drone that allows you to cover a lot of desert in a lot less time than the ground-based vehicles. Even though it has 0 weapons on board, being able to cut down your transit time is a godsend, as the vehicular aspect of Rage 2 is one of the biggest shortcomings of the entire game, and the fast travel points are few and far between. Rage 2 feels like a game unsure of its identity. When you're in combat, it's magical, providing you with some of the best encounters in any modern shooter. It's so great that it makes everything outside of the gunplay feel dull. More refinement on the open world and its driving would have further enhanced an overall great experience. Rage 2 is available now on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And even with its open world shortcomings, it's still a game very much worth your time and money. Rage 2 is officially 8-bit approved.